Now, I've seen Arsenal linked to very many wide forwards. And for this one, if I'm Arsenal, I there and then break the bank and I go in for him. Who am I talking about? Talking about Ousmane Dembele, Ballon d'Or winner. Remember, he won it last year. That is Ousmane Dembele. So please, for this, no one comes close to him. There are very many that have been linked to Arsenal in the wide play. But this one is a class apart. He stands tall ahead of any of those players that are being linked to the club of Arsenal. And as I've already told you, that Arsenal's levels of signing players should obviously go to what we call already made products. And he's a world-class player that most of you have seen from Borussia Dortmund to Barcelona. He was a little bit retarded by injuries, but when he went to a side known as But when he went to a side known as PSG, I think the physios, no, not PSG, when Javi came in through at Barcelona, he saw to it that the players were obviously getting injured, and it was like, sack the entire physio team, and they got in a new one that obviously saw to it that a man who was referred to as having glass legs for his entire career, he really stayed at Barcelona, found himself picking back his rhythm at Barcelona, and they sold him to PSG in there for you. And that's when he went ahead to win them a Champions League, and he was named the Ballon d'Or winner of 2025. Welcome to the Rokani Media Football. How are you guys and where are you watching us from? I go by the names of Rokani David. Smash the like button, comment and share. If you're totally watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as don't miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. So continue to subscribe because we want to hit 29,000 subscribers. And this story has been brought us by Fee Charges, and they're telling us that Arsenal are considering a possible summer move for Ousmane Dembele, with internal talks already taking place. Have you heard that? A summer move for Ousmane Dembele and internal talks are already taking place for the club of Arsenal. So, for your information, Ousmane Dembele, right, is a very good player. And Arsenal has been linked to very many. Rodrigo. There is Rodrigo. There is Rafael Leao. Who else? There is another one. There are like 4 players, forwards, that have been linked to the club of Arsenal. But no one comes close to this guy. He's proven he can create a moment of magic. And if Arsenal had him this season, I don't think any team would have gone ahead to come close to them. You know, games like those of Nottingham, games like those of Brentford, games like those of Wolves wouldn't have gone ahead to obviously end in a stalemate. They would have gone ahead to go on to end in what we call a proper win for the club of Arsenal. I tell you that. And he is better than any wide forward for the club of Arsenal. He's better than Saka. He's better than Noni Madueke. He's better than Trossard. He's far much better than Martinelli, you know, and he commands a starting position in that club of Arsenal, right? If I'm Arsenal, this is the only signing I can make in the summer transfer window. I know I can make a 2 or 3 because they're really making in a lot of money. They are making in a lot of money. I'm talking about the club of Arsenal, you know. And I know for PSG, they'll want to let him go at around maybe 100 million euros because the Ballon d'Or. And they would be like, we can make some 75 million euros from him as a profit. You get? But most of you might be asking yourselves, how come PSG is willing to let the world's best player of 2025 and they let him out. Now, it's like a story of the snake and the pot. You get? You do have a pot that has your food and inside there is a snake. So you have to choose on whether to hit that pot and lose what is inside and kill the snake, or not to hit that pot. You get? So that is the story. So how did this come to pass? The man known as Enrique came out and obviously made comments on the lack of desire from the PSG squad. Now, the manager came out and said, the comments about some of my players after this match have no value for me. I will never allow a player to be above the club. On that point, it's clear. The person responsible for the team is me, but no one is above the club. Not the players, not me, nor the sporting director, nor the president. These comments have no value. They come from frustration regarding the match that has just ended. Now, this is how the fallout kick started in. You know, this is how the fallout came in. You know, I'm talking about the fallout of Ousmane Dembele and the manager. So, now, there are two situations. Ousmane Dembele, a very good player, and Enrique, a manager who has done things that Ancelotti failed to do, Tuchel failed to do, Pochettino failed to do, Unai Emery failed to do. You know, they've gone ahead to obviously employ very many managers in there, and they've gone ahead to fail to obviously win them the Champions League. And guess who went ahead to win the Champions League? It was Enrique. Now, Enrique is like, no player is above the club, you know, and it's like, you have to choose. On me and Ousmane Dembele, you have to choose one. I can't have him in my squad. You get? So, even Ousmane Dembele with his ego, I think he's gonna use this chance to obviously get back into the top leagues. I think he wants to be playing the La Liga or the Premier League. You know, he has gone ahead to win a Ballon d'Or at PSG, but he knows to it that PSG cannot compete at that level for the next coming years. You get? So, he's like, I'm okay. And this is where this story comes in through. And they're telling us that Arsenal are considering a possible summer move for Ousmane Dembele, with internal talks already taking place. So, I think if Arsenal strikes at this guy, he will obviously find himself giving them a very huge green light to obviously sign him as a player for the club of Arsenal. That's what I really feel. And I think the guy will obviously be like, I have another chance to win a Ballon d'Or at Arsenal. Because when you look at Arsenal, it's an Ousmane Dembele away from winning those trophies. Why? They need a player of that quality. I told you Arsenal doesn't have a wide forward who takes off players, you know, puts in perfect crosses and really scores goals like this guy. You know, he can play as a left forward, he can play as a right forward, he can lead the line. That is Ousmane Dembele for you. He's pace, you know, I think he's as fast as Martinelli and as skilled as Odegaard and as deadly, you know, when it comes to taking off players, as Max Dowman. So, he's a mixture of the three players that Arsenal really have, but have different profiles. But this guy has all those profiles all in one. And that makes him a different, deadly option in here onto the Rokani Media Football. So for me, if I'm Arsenal, I would go in for him and I would break the bank to obviously sign the player. And with the presence of William Saliba, a Frenchman playing at Arsenal, and we all know to it that they play at the French national team together, I think he can use him You know, they can use him to persuade him to come to play for the club of Arsenal. It's all written all over the world that Arsenal is the next big thing in club football. That is it. And if they get in Ousmane Dembele, right, it will be a done and dusted. You know, they'll turn out to be one of the best teams in the world, and people will prove me right when I've always told you that Arsenal need a player who is better than Saka, because most of you think that Saka is really an elite player. Yes, he is, but he's not at the level of Ousmane Dembele. He's having a winning mentality. He's a winner. He has won at Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund. He has won at PSG, and I think he has competed at all levels. And you need a player of such a mentality to come in through the club of Arsenal and really unlock defenses. And bring him in, for me, is the easiest decision for Arsenal to do. Why? Offload Martinelli. You get? Raise some money in, you know. You might also say, I'm going to offload, I think, Martinelli only. You get like 50 million euros for Martinelli, add on 50 million euros and get in Ousmane Dembele. Big player. He's a game changer. He's a game winner. He has gone ahead to score worldies. He's a natural. That is it. He is a different kind of player altogether. So I think Arsenal internal talks are really going on, and if all goes well to plan, they'll obviously sign this guy. So guys, thank you very much for watching through. Rokani David remains my name. I call upon for your reactions in the comment section below about this side of Dembele to Arsenal. The story is really fresh in here, and this will come up with a competition, because when a Ballon d'Or winner is on the market, very many clubs will obviously have to show up or raise up their hands to obviously bring him in. And he gets straight into that team of Arsenal. Just can't imagine how Arsenal will look with this guy, because he's not that usual player. He's unusual. That is it. I'm out. Bye-bye and good night.